This podcast is part of the Frederick Podcast Network. Learn more at listenfrederick.com.
Welcome to the Rich in Life podcast, the space where we redefine success beyond money and titles, because real wealth isn't just about income. It's about freedom, impact, and building a life that truly feels as good as it looks. Whether you're running a business, managing a career, raising a family, or juggling it all, this podcast is here to help you create success on your terms. So sit back, get comfy, grab your headphones, and let's get rich in life. Welcome back to the Rich in Life podcast. If this is your first time listening, welcome, and I'm so glad that you're here. This is a space where we talk about creating a life that feels rich, not just in money, but in purpose, freedom, and fulfillment. Today, we're going to talk about something that I know so many of us struggle with, and we wish that there was more of. And no, I don't mean money, I mean time. We are all guilty of saying we don't have enough time, yet we waste hours on things that actually don't matter. I know we all get sucked into the rabbit hole of social media and scrolling from video to video, just one more video, or maybe this, or maybe that. We feel overwhelmed, overbooked, and overstretched. And at the end of the day, we crash into bed wondering, where did our time go today? And why do we still have the same to-dos on our list? If you've been listening, you know by now that I've been there, saying yes to everything, trying to do all of the things, and feeling like I was running on empty. I share a lot about my personal story here. But once I learned to treat time like money, everything shifted. I stopped being busy and started being intentional with my time. By the end of this episode, you'll have a whole new perspective on your time, and more importantly, the tools to take back control of your schedule so you can live with more freedom and joy. Plus, I've got a freebie for you. So that's going to help you take control of all of those things and really help you map it out. This is the Rich in Life podcast, where success isn't just about money. It's about freedom, impact, and building a business and life that feels as good as it looks. So get comfortable and let's get into it. If I were to ask you, what is your most valuable resource in your life? What would you say? Would you say money? Would you say something tangible? Because here's the truth. Time is your most valuable currency. We can always make more money. We can always get that side job, that side hustle. We could babysit. We can Uber Eats. We can do all the things. You can't make more time, though. We say it all the time. We wish we had more time. We wish we could have more hours in the day, just one more hour to do the things. Yet we give away our time so easily. Have you ever thought about that? How easily do you give your time to other people? We say yes to things out of guilt, obligation, or habit. We scroll mindlessly for hours. We get sucked into things that don't serve us. And then we wonder why we never have enough time for what actually matters and what's going to move the needle. And then we wonder why we never have enough time for what actually matters, for the things that are going to give us that ROI in our business, for the things that are going to move the needle in our life to get us to our next goal. If you were to think about this example, right? So if someone asked you for $1,000, would you just hand it over without thinking about maybe where's it going, or ask any questions, right? You probably would have some questions. You'd evaluate it, you'd consider the return, and decide if it was worth it. That's $1,000. But when someone asks for an hour of our time, we rarely ever stop to think, is it worth it? What is the return? We just say yes because we want to help other people. I learned this lesson the hard way. For years, I'd been juggling so many things between my kids and between my work, being a single mom, and God forbid I tried to have a social life. And I just kept feeling like I was drowning in responsibilities. I just kept saying yes. I'd tell myself, I just need better time management. I need to plan out my calendar better. If I do this, if I get through this week, if I get through this month, then things are going to slow down. If I get through this activity, then, I'll have more time. We tell ourselves this all the time, right? We say it with the holidays. Let us get through the holidays and then things will slow down. Things never slow down. It's never going to be a good time to do anything. We have to make it the time. So for me, the real issue wasn't time management. It was time ownership, right? So once I started spending my time like I spent my money, that's when everything really changed. And that's the perspective that I started to have on my time. So you're like, okay, cool. How do I do that? So let's talk about, how do we take ownership of our time? The goal isn't to find more time, right? We can't create more time, but it's to be intentional with the time you already have, with the hours and the days that we are given. Here are 3 simple but powerful strategies that can literally change your life. Audit your time, right? Where is it actually going? We say it all the time. Where did the day go? Why do I still have all these things left on my to-do list? I feel like I've lived in the car all day, but I didn't actually get anything done. Before you can fix your schedule, you need to see where the leaks are. Here's what I want you to do. For 1 week, track your time, literally every hour or in chunks of 2 hours. You'll be shocked at where your time actually goes. At the end of the week, circle the things that aren't necessary, and that's how you know what your leaks are. When I did this, I realized I was spending over 10 hours a week on things that didn't matter. Random phone calls, text messages, unnecessary meetings, and literally just mindless scrolling. Imagine what you could do with 10 extra hours. That's how you're creating more time. Once you see where your time is wasted, you gain the power to reclaim it. All right, so the next strategy is setting your boundaries like a CEO. And that doesn't mean you need to be the CEO of a business, the CEO of your life. You are in charge of your life. You're going to hire, you're going to fire accordingly. You're going to spend accordingly for your life being the CEO of your life. Think of your time as a business with office hours, right? So a CEO doesn't take every meeting just because someone asks. A successful business doesn't stay open 24/7. It has set hours. Yet, when we think about this equating to ourselves, we let people pull us into things whenever they want. Answering texts at all hours, saying yes to last minute requests, putting other people's priorities ahead of our own. That's not being the CEO of your life and your time. One of the best things that you could ever do was set non-negotiable time blocks. So examples of these are no work emails after 7 p.m., dedicated time for family that is literally untouchable, and self-care routines that don't get pushed aside, like going to the gym maybe. And when you do this at first, people are going to push back, because they're used to having unlimited access to you. They're used to you being so responsive. They're used to you saying yes. They're used to you always being available for them. But now what you're doing is you're being available for yourself. You're being present for yourself. You're taking care of yourself, your family, and what you need to do in your personal life. They will learn to respect these boundaries, and you will feel so much lighter. When you set boundaries, you gain more control over your life. And we could all feel like we're in a little more control of our life, right? So write down 3 boundaries that will help you protect your time. Then start to communicate them clearly to the people in your life. Once you communicate them, they will know what the boundaries are so that way no one is caught off guard, and then you can move accordingly. Have you ever heard of the big 3 method, right? So doing what actually moves the needle. Have you ever ended your day exhausted? Like you're not even sure what you accomplished. You're like, I know I did stuff, but why isn't more stuff crossed off my list? It's probably because you spent time on busy work instead of impact work. The big 3 method changed the game for me. Every morning, I write down the 3 most important things that I need to get done that day. And if I finish those off, the rest is extra. We also know I love time blocking, so we'll talk about that in a later episode. Instead of the never-ending to-do list, though, I focused on what actually is going to move me forward, move my business forward, move my life forward, move my clients forward. So I think the misconception is that productivity isn't just about doing more. It's about doing what matters the most. So tomorrow morning, write down the 3 most important things that you need to accomplish. Then prioritize them over everything else. Let's talk about those non-negotiables, right? You've heard me say it before. You've probably heard other people say it before, but they are so important. If you want to live an intentional life, you need to decide what truly matters and then protect it. This is where the non-negotiable list comes in. A non-negotiable list is a simple but powerful way where you can protect what truly matters to you, no matter how hectic life gets. Those are going to be the roots in your life, the roots of the tree. These are the things that keep you grounded, fulfilled, and aligned with your values, right? So here's some examples of what that could look like. It could be the unplugged time, no phones, you're just being present, you're having a movie night. It could be a daily workout that helps you with your mindset, right? And your mental health. Or it could be that Sundays are literally reserved for rest. No obligations, no errands, no parties, no work events, nothing. It is just your day of rest and reflection and setting the tone for the week ahead. So once you've set your non-negotiables, block it out in your calendar. So there's your intention, right? You have the intention to do these things because it's on your calendar. It's already in your calendar, taking up that block of time with intention. And then everything else gets scheduled around it, not the other way around. So many times we're like, okay, let me put this work thing in here. Let me put this event in here. Let me put this meeting in here. And then maybe some family time or some self-care time or some mental health time can fit in and fill in the blocks around it. No, we've got to change the way that we think with that. You need to put your non-negotiables in first. That way you're protecting your life, your presence, your mental health, your self-care, your family. And that's how you design a life around what fulfills you. All right, so in this episode, we covered a lot. There was a lot of action takers in here. There was a lot of ways to teach you how to get your time back with your schedule and create more intention with your time. But here's the thing. In the description of this podcast episode, you'll find a link to a freebie worksheet that I created for you. So that way you don't have to remember all these things. You can work through all of the items we talked about, those strategies, the non-negotiables, the boundaries, the time management, where that way, it's going to be a list where you can write down what you're doing during the day, and that way you can find where your leaks are. I mapped it all out for you in a pretty nice, concise worksheet, and that way you can really design a life that works for you. Remember, this isn't just about productivity. It's about taking back control of your life so you can be present, fulfilled, and be rich in life. So I'd love to hear from you. What's one thing that you are going to change in your schedule this week? What's one thing that you found is a huge leak in your time? DM me at rich_in_life_podcast. Let me know. And until next time, protect your time, live with intention, and keep building a rich life.
Live radio, local podcasts, the Frederick Podcast Network at listenfrederick.com.